This is breaking news. We begin with urgent developments from Southeast Asia, where a border conflict between Thailand and Cambodia has escalated dramatically. Intense clashes have erupted along the Thailand-Cambodia border, resulting in significant casualties on both sides. Thai officials report at least 14 fatalities within their territory. The situation has rapidly deteriorated, with Thailand launching airstrikes on Cambodian military targets using F-16 fighter jets. The violence has forced tens of thousands of civilians to evacuate from border areas, creating a humanitarian crisis. The United Nations Security Council has convened an emergency meeting to address the situation. Both nations are calling for restraint, even as they engage in retaliatory actions on economic and diplomatic fronts. This conflict has deep roots in historical disputes over ancient temples in the border region. The current escalation threatens to destabilize the entire area. We now turn to the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, where the situation continues to intensify. Russia has launched a series of large-scale missile and UAV attacks targeting strategic locations across Ukraine. In response, Ukrainian forces have retaliated with strikes on Russian territory, specifically in the Kursk region. Kyiv is urging the United States to authorize the use of long-range weapons, allowing for deeper strikes into Russian-held areas. The United States has approved new arms sales and maintenance packages for Ukraine, including HAWK air defense systems and Bradley fighting vehicles. This move underscores ongoing Western support for Ukraine's defense efforts. Ukrainian military tactics are evolving in response to the changing nature of the conflict. There is a noticeable shift away from the use of tanks, due to the increasing threat posed by unmanned aerial vehicles. On the international front, China has called for dialogue to resolve the conflict. Meanwhile, reports suggest that North Korea is sending additional troops to support Russian forces, further complicating the geopolitical landscape. Lastly, we focus on the Middle East, where multiple flashpoints are causing concern. In a significant development, Israel has acknowledged its failure to completely eliminate Hamas. This admission has led to considerations of a long-term ceasefire. Hamas has responded to a ceasefire proposal agreeing to some conditions, but significant disagreements remain. Tensions in the region are not limited to the Israel-Hamas conflict. A naval encounter between Iran and the United States in the Gulf of Oman has raised alarms about potential escalation. Additionally, Israel and Iran are trading accusations of sabotage with threats of resumed military action. These developments across three major conflict zones underscore the volatile nature of international relations. Stay tuned for further updates as these situations continue to unfold. We now return to our top story, the escalating border conflict between Thailand and Cambodia. The use of F-16 fighter jets by Thailand marks a significant escalation in the conflict. These airstrikes have targeted key Cambodian military installations along the border, resulting in substantial damage and loss of life. The precise number of casualties on the Cambodian side remains unclear, but sources indicate they are significant. The mass evacuation of civilians from the border areas is creating a logistical challenge for both countries. Refugee camps are being hastily established to accommodate the displaced population, estimated to be in the tens of thousands. International aid organizations are mobilizing to provide essential supplies and medical assistance. The emergency meeting of the UN Security Council, called in response to this crisis, has yet to produce a concrete resolution. Both Thailand and Cambodia have presented their cases, with each side accusing the other of aggression and territorial violations. The international community is urging both nations to exercise maximum restraint and return to diplomatic channels. The economic impact of this conflict is already being felt. Thailand has imposed trade restrictions on Cambodia, while Cambodia has threatened to expel Thai diplomats. These retaliatory measures threaten to undo years of economic cooperation between the two Southeast Asian nations. At the heart of this dispute lies a complex history centered around ancient temples, straddling the border. The Priyavihir Temple Complex, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, has been a particular point of contention. Both countries claim sovereignty over the area, leading to periodic flare-ups of tension. Moving back to the Russia-Ukraine war, the latest Russian attacks have targeted critical infrastructure across Ukraine. Power plants, transportation hubs, and military command centers have been hit, causing widespread disruption and civilian casualties. Ukrainian air defenses have been working overtime to intercept incoming missiles and drones, but the sheer volume of attacks has overwhelmed some defensive positions. Ukraine's counterattacks on Russian territory, particularly in the Kursk region, represent a significant shift in strategy. These strikes aim to disrupt Russian supply lines and command structures. However, they also risk further escalation and potential retaliation against Ukrainian civilian targets. The Ukrainian request for long-range weapons from the United States is a contentious issue. While such weapons could allow Ukraine to strike deeper into Russian-held territory, there are concerns about the potential for escalation and the risk of drawing NATO more directly into the conflict. The newly approved U.S. arms package for Ukraine includes critical defensive systems. The HAWK air defense systems will bolster Ukraine's ability to protect its airspace, while the Bradley fighting vehicles will enhance ground combat capabilities. However, military analysts note that the integration and effective use of these systems will take time. In training, the changing tactics of Ukrainian forces, particularly the reduced reliance on tanks, reflect the evolving nature of modern warfare. The prevalence of drone warfare has made traditional armored units more vulnerable, forcing a reevaluation of battlefield strategies. China's call for dialogue in the Russia-Ukraine conflict comes as Beijing attempts to position itself as a potential mediator. However, Western nations remain skeptical of China's neutrality given its close ties with Russia. The reported involvement of North Korean troops in support of Russia adds a new dimension to the conflict. If confirmed, this would represent a significant escalation in North Korea's international military engagement and could lead to further sanctions against Pyongyang. Turning our attention back to the Middle East, Israel's acknowledgement of its inability to fully eliminate Hamas marks a potential turning point in the ongoing conflict. This admission has opened the door to discussions about a long-term ceasefire, a prospect that seemed unlikely just weeks ago. The Hamas response to the ceasefire proposal indicates a willingness to negotiate, but significant hurdles remain. Key points of contention include the release of hostages, the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, and the future governance of the territory. The naval encounter between Iran and the U.S. in the Gulf of Oman highlights the ongoing tensions in the region. While details of the incident remain unclear, it serves as a reminder of the potential for miscalculation. In this strategically important waterway, the escalating rhetoric between Israel and Iran, including accusations of sabotage and threats of military action, adds another layer of complexity to the already volatile situation in the Middle East. Any direct conflict between these two regional powers could have far-reaching consequences for the entire region. As these international crises continue to unfold, the global community watches with growing concern. The potential for any of these conflicts to expand or intersect poses significant challenges to regional stability and international peace efforts. We will continue to monitor these developing situations closely and bring you updates as they occur. This has been a breaking news update. Stay tuned for further developments.